It's you. Right.
All right, let's try this again. What's poppin'? What's poppin'? What's poppin'? Welcome, Nikki and Moose. I'm Nikki. That's Moose. What's up, Moose?
What up, y'all?
And welcome to the YouTube Livey. Listen, we had some technical issues before. Do me a favor. Like this, share this, get active in the comments again. I'm about to text it out. Overland, I see you. Do me a favor. Just share this with everybody. Just share it. Just share it. Shout out to my mom and everything like that, who is always letting me know when something is wrong, when something is good, all that great stuff. But as I text this out and make sure everybody gets back on, Moose, whatever we were saying before, say it again.
Yeah. Nah, man, just super excited. I mean, for those of you who are plugged into our last live, we were literally just giving thanks for 100 episodes. We won't go, I guess, too deep onto it because there are definitely some a key ingredient that we want to touch on for today's live as to probably the backbone for all of why this even happened or why it was possible. And of course, it's this idea of consistency. Yep, it's that same old boring cliche thing that everyone talks about, but we all know, man, it is super needed, and it is. I could definitely attest to it. The reason why we were able to reach that milestone. So we definitely got a little credibility to talk about this right now. So we started off, man, talking about the struggles of getting to 100. Bare minimum, there's a lot of things that happen along the way. I won't say what the struggle was that I mentioned on the last one because just by me mentioning it, it created some craziness. So I ain't even going to talk about that right now. I'm gonna just go into other areas and completely.
You can talk about it because that live is gone now. That live is gone, so they can't refer back to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank God. Yeah. Man, I will say, not the difficulty part of it, but learning how to work around technology. All things related to technology, lights, camera, computers, internet, sound, anything related to tech had to be my biggest learning curve for figuring out how do we get from a show that started by accident during the pandemic when The Last Dance was airing all the way to 100 podcast episodes later. Also probably 100 plus live shows later, right? Because we do one for each one, or give or take, maybe a couple of weeks that we couldn't do them for whatever reason. But I got to say, there's at least 100 lives and 100 podcast episodes. So there's been a lot of practice that went into it to figuring some of these things out. And yeah, it's been a heck of a ride, man. I'm actually just super grateful, and more than anything, believe it or not, actually super excited for what's next. That's the icing on the cake that I put on that.
I like that. So I would say a struggle that I have when it comes to creating consistent content is the doubt that the next one will be good. So I have enough discipline to continue to go, but I am human to be like, okay, we just did this episode. Is the next one going to be the next? Or are we flatlining? Is this going to be, is people over it? Am I over it? Because I can get bored very easily on certain things. And so the doubt has sometimes been a struggle when creating consistent content. It's just beating myself up at times and then just getting over it really quickly, right? It's not something that will make me not want to record, but I will say it would make me not want to record per se on time, right? I may delay it a little bit in order to gain that I would say that comfort zone, that warm and fuzzy about it. But yeah, I would say some of the doubt.
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't know that. I wouldn't have thought at least that was a concern. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like I feel like that sounds like I feel musicians have that same concern too, right? Where musicians and writers, I've heard people in that creative realm talk about it, where it's like, okay, I put out a book and it was my first book, but it was a bestseller. It crushed the charts. Everyone loved it. And now there's the pressure to put out the next one, and you're almost doubting yourself, saying, okay, is this going to be as good? And you really never know until you get started. And so it's interesting to hear you say that, because I feel I can say that not everyone felt good at the start, but it always gets better as you go through it. You know, like you can start and you're like, okay, I'm not sure how this episode is going to unfold, or how, if we're just going to label it content, because at the end of the day, that, you know, this is still content nonetheless. So I'm not sure how this content is going to go over, but as you get going, I don't know if it's getting warmed up or engaging in the conversation, or your thoughts start getting going. You're like, oh, okay, yeah, no. I could do, you know, we could go this, we could do that. And it usually ends up being a little bit better than what we expected. And I guess it happens. I see Graylin there. Yeah, sophomore slump for rappers.
Shout out to Graylin. You know what I mean? All right, I kind of took over. My bad. Go do what you normally do. My bad. My apologies.
Nah, man, this is look, at the end of the day, I came on here very excited today. I'm just very excited. Okay. So I'm bringing it back. Like, all right, let's go back to our normal schedule. But ultimately, the big thing that we want to talk about, or what we feel powered 100 episodes into, you know, this whole journey, is the muscle of consistency. At the end of the day, without consistency, there's no way for you to really pick up the momentum that you need to get going, to get to 10 or 20 or 50. And I remember there was a point where at every 10 episodes, we were doing, I don't want to say a mini celebration, but we were switching it up and trying different things that came along the way. So the part that I feel, or the main thing that I feel makes consistency so difficult, is that there is a misunderstanding around what consistency looks like. I love this point that Carl put out, where it was talking about there's a difference between consistency and frequency, right? Because you might see consistent, or you might interpret consistent as it has to be done every day. It has to be done multiple times a day. It has to be done 10 times a day, where you can be consistent at something that is in line with the frequency that you made a commitment to. And that could be once a week. That can be once a month. You know, there are different frequencies that if you stay in line with, you can still be consistent at. So my biggest thing is, I want to speak to maybe that big myth around what consistency is, and just some of the things that you might have really developed or learned into this journey that you feel have improved your consistency, so that others who are creating content in podcasting, in anything related to utilizing content as a way to push your brand and business into the world, they can also listen to that and be like, all right, bet, let me apply that to my repertoire and see how I build from there. So yeah, how would you say, you know, your understanding of consistency has changed, improved, or even developed some 2 years into this whole thing?
I think, I don't know if the consistency per se improved, but I would say the level of comfort in creating consistent content has improved. So, meaning, like, before, I think we were focused on, let's say, making sure we stayed in tune with the trends. We would highlight one person and just find all the, like, just highlight them per se. And that was the consistent content. And then we realized there's sometimes that was going to be a battle, because sometimes there wasn't going to be anything to talk about. There was not enough interviews for a certain person, and coming to feel comfortable with speaking just on our perspective and like kind of just even some of our expertise in whether it is more on the business side with you, whether it is more on the content and branding side with me, and highlighting those parts which we wouldn't always do, but now it's starting to trickle in, getting more comfortable with being consistent of showing up as us. You know, I think that has improved a lot more. Whereas we've seen the results of, you know, speaking about what's happening. And shout out to those people who've subscribed based off some of the topics that we've talked about from what is being relevant and what's being trending. But I've realized looking at the data that the content would get lost when we would just speak on that, right? And they would just look for that particular topic and not necessarily, majority of them wouldn't stay for what we had to say. So figuring out different ways, understanding there's a strategy where when we need more brand awareness or when we need to get certain numbers up, what routine that we have to create as far as, did anybody break up? Did, you know, something bad happen within, you know, the influencer world? How do we talk about that and put our perspective on it? But still lean more to other things, like with the YouTube channel that everybody's watching this on. We did Carter last week, right? Shout out to Carter Cofield. The episode did great audio wise, video wise. It didn't necessarily do the greatest numbers, the clips wise, right? And that was okay because it was more niche down for specific people, but we still create, like, I didn't delete it. I didn't, you know, try to do clickbaitish stuff. I created titles and thumbnails that had to go along with what was being talked about, and being okay with, okay, the numbers ain't going to be okay, but we're staying in our true self and not being so clickbaitish, so people don't just come for that and not us.
Yeah. You know, I will say one of the biggest things too that I took away from this, and I want to get back to you on at least talk to the post-production part. But one of the biggest things that I took away is that we can really stay true to our values by touching on some, say, touchy subjects or things that, and I hate to say it, but oftentimes it is the dramatic breakups and the bad things that happen that tend to get way more attention than, say, great quality content overall. Mm-hmm. But what I'm so proud of what we've been able to do is that we've learned to speak on those things, but not get messy with them. We can extract the lessons. We can talk about what went wrong or what happened or what to do differently, just as it relates to a person's individual brand or business, without actually going down the lane of gossiping and saying, oh, yeah, so what happened was Will Smith did this. And it's just like, we've never had to go into that, which I'm very grateful for. And I got to say that if you're going to be consistent online, one of the biggest things that I've learned, it's because so that you don't almost get clogged up. You know, and you almost got to think of yourself sometimes as, I don't know, an engine or something that needs to stay fluid so that it could perform at its highest level. Well, if you have a clog of some sort, you have some things that you want to say, but you don't say, or you're not clear on what side of the line you stand on, it's going to be difficult for you to produce consistent content because you're always second guessing and thinking, man, is this appropriate? Can I say this? Will this get likes? Will it not? So you have to eliminate all of these different thoughts before you even sit down and hit the record button, which again is a big part of the battle. So I found that as we touched on some of those subjects and really developed the muscle to not go into the messy things, it really helped me to validate my own beliefs and my values and say, okay, what do you stand for? What do you believe in? What do you want to represent or change or make better in the world? And just being clear on those things, Nix, regardless of what came up, I know when to take a neutral perspective, and I know when to take a hard stance. And by the way, when I say neutral, I'm not saying neutral because I'm just trying to beat around the bush. I'm saying neutral because I remember when Virgil sold Off-White, and I came on here publicly saying, oh, that's a bad move. How do you talk ownership and blah, blah, blah. It's like, hold on a second. Although I understood where I was coming from at the time, to hear the rest of that story unfold some 6 months later, him passing away and understanding what he was dealing with, I said, oh, that's a lesson for you. If you're going to be a content creator, repurposing relevant media, relevant news, or you're going to use other people's content as part of your process, you got to be careful with what you say, especially if you don't know them personally and you don't know why they did it. So you got to differentiate between what is right and what is wrong, what is good or what is bad, because at the end of the day, all of that is subjective. That's just based on your opinion and whoever is listening to it. Some people might agree, some people might disagree. So I learned to really navigate those waters without saying some things that just are stupid. They just, based off of what I think is right or the right way to do something. And then I've also learned to speak my voice and let my values be heard for what I stand for, what I represent. So I think those two things, it allowed me to come on to each episode or every live show and not have to second guess myself or want to speak, but not speak. It's now I can just show up and give it a go and talk and not have to be concerned about, what's the right thing to say and what's not the right thing to say. So I got to say that's been super helpful as well.
I like that. Now we are going to have a weird show because, I cannot, let me get here. Hold on. We're going to make this work regardless. Okay, people, we're going to make this work regardless because, let me go here.
You want me to make space
No,
for you?
you're good. You're good. You're good. I can make room all day. I don't know what's happening. Okay, so, but we're going to make this work. You're going to see some lines. This is going to be just a very quick live for one to say thank you for the 100th episode, the support that you guys have given us, right? Pretty much you guys are the reason, one of the main reasons why we do stay consistent in this whole thing, even through tech issues, right?
Yeah.
Even to tech issues, like, because I don't know what's happening, but what I do know, I always know there's a solution somehow, some way. And I wasn't going to cut this off again and trying to figure this out because both of us had some kind of weird tech issues starting off. So for you, the audience, the followers, the family that we have, I want to say thank you. We appreciate you. Just like how Moo said earlier, tech issues suck. They suck, right? I don't know what's happening, but they suck. And they can be, I'll say this, they can be discouraging and very frustrating. And I get frustrated very easily. And I've learned to have patience with tech. The reason why I have patience with tech is because I can't control it. I can only find solutions for it. I can't control it. As much as I would love to control my Wi-Fi, I can't. I don't own it. Like, I don't own the company that does my Wi-Fi, right? I don't know what's going on with my camera, but it's going to mess up. I'm going to find a solution. My audio may not work. I'm going to find a solution. It may not be the right away solution, right? It may take an hour, 2, a day, or whatever, but I'm so determined to continue to create content, right? I'm so determined to continue to allow this podcast to impact the people because we see that it's bigger than us, right? It is not only something that we learn from, but you guys have actually taken steps and executed based off some of the lessons that we've said in our podcast. So understanding that, we're going to be like, oh, we can't miss a week, right? Even though there was some times I was like, oh, this is not happening today. I'm not feeling this. We have nothing to talk about. What are we going to talk about? But it is more on, we have a responsibility to you guys, and we've talked about it on our podcast. Sometimes you don't want the responsibility, but you have to take ownership of it. And so we've taken ownership of showing up every single week, understanding that there's at least one person who is learning something. There is at least one person right now who's learning something off of this whole tech issues, right? Like it is what it is. So one of the biggest things that I could say that I've learned through a struggle and through a pro is that you can't control everything. And because you can't control everything, it's going to stretch you in different ways that you didn't know. And if you're not ready for it, that's where it becomes inconsistent. That's where you're going to fall off and find any reason to not do it because you weren't ready for the lack of control, for the responsibility, right? And just for the self-accountability. You weren't ready for that. So if there's a struggle with consistency, it's probably one of those reasons. That's my opinion. I don't know what you may say.
Wow. Yeah, I love that. You know, I feel that God really has a special plan for some of these things because it's when the technical difficulties happen, they often provide the greatest level of everyone who's tuned in because they start to see that, oh, I guess this really is normal. This literally does happen. This is not just something that they talk about because quite honestly, there are things that happen off screen, off camera, away from the episode, away from the live that no one will ever know or see about. But those have probably more to do with being consistent than anything else. So in a way, I'm grateful that this is happening. Shout out. And I'm so grateful that it happened to Nikki and not me because there's no way I could do what she did.
Shout out to Vaughn. Let's.
Big time.
I see y'all. I see what y'all doing here today. I see it. Appreciate it, especially through this. Especially through this tech. Wait, now I'm stuck again. Right. Hold on. I'm back. Look at this. This is great. This is fine. This is what I do.
Yeah, no, it's good to have fun with it. I want to talk to you about some of the post-production stuff, though. You know, okay. Just while we're on this topic of stuff that people don't see, you know, it's one thing to get on, cut the cameras on, record. But when we stop recording, the work doesn't end there. In a lot of ways, the work actually just starts. Yeah. That's just the beginning of the process. There is file transfers, there is uploads and editing and all of these different things that happen. Talk about maybe some of your lessons from when you think about it specifically from a post-production standpoint. What are some things that you were like, oh, no, this was important to keep the consistency of this show and this podcast going? I had to master, say, some of these elements in post.
That's a good question. I would. And
granted, I know you don't do all the editing, but you know, like, you know what I'm saying, like whether.
So I used to.
That's true too.
Yeah. Don't take that away from me. I used to. Shout out to Isaiah, who I was like, he's taken full ownership of that, right? And the cool thing about it is that I had to be okay with letting go, right? When you're starting something, it's like your baby. Like, you have the vision. No one else could do it in the way that you do it, right? So there was certain things as far as like the look of it, okay? Are we always going to have the border from the, whatever divides us from the middle? How is that going to look? How is it going to be different? How is our background when we go into the videos? How is that going to always be? Understanding that, okay, getting the rhythm of, okay, we normally do 3 to 4 videos, always making sure that is there, that has a same look every single time. Sometimes I'll forget the frame and I won't put it in the podcast because it doesn't go along with the look, right? So what is your style, and can you stay consistent with that style is very important, because it brings that brand of familiarity. If I said that right. I said it was a big word. Hold on. Right? But even to the point of how we, and this is not necessarily superpose, but how we do the intro. From the intro to then the how you feeling, Moose, then getting into that, like getting into the similar flow over and over again so people could understand and get the rhythm of the podcast. So you expect me saying what's popping 3 times, right? You expect me saying Moose name in a certain kind of way, right? There's a pitch that I have every single time, right? Every single beginning I'm going to ask, how you feeling, Moose? Like, you're going to get the rhythm because it's repetitive. Over and over for 100 episodes, it's been the same thing. And if it is not, that has to change up. Like, you can't skip, because then people are going to be like, yo, you didn't say what's popping. Yo, you mad at Moose because you didn't ask how he's feeling?
How he was doing.
Right. Y'all not on the same page no more. You just went straight into it. What's wrong, right? Yeah. So that's not necessarily superposed, but that was very important, because I was thinking about, from post, making sure those things, align. Now, recently, and this is why I love Isaiah, is because though I know he has his plate full with the clips and the full episodes, like everything that you're seeing with the full episodes now, that full edit, that's all Isaiah. I kept it very simple. Intro, lower thirds, kept it moving, right? He's now adding B-roll. He's adding titles. He's just doing it all. But one of the recent ideas that I had was this preview situation. How can I understood that the static posts on social media were not working anymore. So how can I show that the podcast is out in a really dope way? Taking the whole trailer thought, let me try to do it, right? Now, I'll come up with the idea. I'll show the skeleton of it. This is how I want it to be. Isaiah always takes it to a new level, because it's like, all I needed to know was how you wanted it. And I can hold it from there, right? So understanding, okay, we have to launch this a certain kind of way. Now, I would love eventually, when we truly find our rhythm, have clips like 2 days before, we record. Yeah. So like Sunday, right? Two days before, to bring up the hype, right? That's going to be in my thought process later. How to bring up the hype, bring out some quotes, right? And then show the preview, and then, because I'm seeing other people do that. So I'm seeing Drink Champs do that. I'm seeing Math Hoffa do it. I'm seeing a whole bunch of podcasters will show clips, and then it gets you excited about the episode. So that's going to be something down the line, once I figure out how that kind of looks like, to put that done after post. and get that in kind of rotation. So it's all about, one, how do we keep the brand the same each and every single solitary time? And then how do you continue to stay creative even with a good amount of body of work that people already love?
Yeah. It's cool too, because I know that consistency, the way it happens is every time you upgrade to a level, you got to stay consistent at that level. So even to go back to the journey of what you're talking about, you started in the beginning, like you said, just straight through intro, lower thirds, outro. We were consistent there, but we didn't decline from that. And then there was the next level to that. There was upgrading the cameras.
Yeah.
And at some point it was upgrading the mics, then the cameras, and some of the editing things. So it's true too. It's like at the end of the day, consistency is what you can be consistent at. Even to the standard that you put out. There's consistency in that too. I mean, I don't know if there was ever any pressure for you to downgrade though, right? I don't know that that's been the challenge.
No.
Was there any? No, right? Just it's like, okay, every time. But do you ever think about that? Like, okay, hold up. I know this would be good to have, but I don't know that we can be consistent at it, so I don't want to do it yet. Is that ever a thought, or is it usually this makes sense? Let's go for it.
No. So that has a lot to do with, let's say, the YouTube channel, right? So there's some ideas that I have as far as like highlighting some of the past episodes, kind of like recaps the top ways to build brands. And Isaiah knows about this, like the top 4 personal branding business tips, like those things, right? I know I can come up with probably good 2-3 out of the top of my head. I don't know how consistent I can be if I create the skeleton and then post, like, show Isaiah, okay, here it is, and he's going to be like, all right, hold on, wait. Okay, we have this, we have this, we have this. What is priority? Like, and that's what it also comes down to as well, as far as, what is a priority? How can we keep this consistent? Is this a priority? Is this not? Because something's going to get hurt, and you have to weigh that out sometimes, as far as like, okay, I have a new idea. Is that going to damage anything else? Can it just be added, or does something have to be subtracted? So, it's one of those things.
That's fire. Real quick, I just want to jump in the chat, man. You're going to have to hit with some air horns for this side piece season in the super chat.
I don't see it. Where?
Just scroll up a little bit. I see 99.
Oh, I see it.
There it is.
Shout out to side piece season. He is not my side piece. I always need to say that when he jumps on my live. He is not my side piece, okay?
Hilarious.
It's just called side piece season, but he's not mine. Okay?
Same. I plead. I
Clearly.
have
Clearly.
no connection.
Clearly.
Nothing. Yeah, just gotta put it out there. You know what I'm saying? Let's put it out there. Oh man.
In the world we live in today,
Yeah.
we have to put it.
You just gotta put it out there, because you never know how stuff will get clipped up in the future. Like, yo, that's crazy. Did you hear? No. Yo,
I'm so done with you.
Graylin said Moose had one of the best lighting glow ups on the internet, for real.
No, listen, that's what. So we didn't want to get too much into like the true lessons of 100 episodes, because we're going to talk about that on the podcast. Like literally break that down. And one of them is literally going to be showing what it was and what it is now.
We need that.
Yeah. Yes, it has to happen. It has to happen.
Yeah.
It has to happen.
I agree with that. Abby said the f-stop has done wonders. Abby, I don't know if it's the f-stop or ISO. I said, at some point,
he only knows ISO. He only knows
with ISO right here. It just says ISO. Let me fix my ISO. That's been my phrase anytime the camera. Nikki will be like, hold up, you look a little dark. or you look a little
He's like, hold on,
peakish, or you look a
let me
little.
change my
And I'm
ISO.
like, all right, let me fix my eyes up. Has been
Oh,
my go-to
listen,
phrase, man.
after this 100 episode, we are going to get merch. Listen, I do want to talk real quick, and then I want to say one more thing. From the Dallas podcast joint, right? They said something so dope, which I can honestly say that has been holding up the merch when it comes to Nikki and Moose, right? And he said something really dope as far as people need to create merch for their podcast, but so many people are caught up in creating fashion lines, right? So, like the marathon clothing is a fashion line, even though it has really dope sayings. It's a fashion line. Shout out to Justin Owens with the New Age CEO line, right? That's a fashion line. Merch is literally things that you say that you put onto a shirt and your supporters go buy it because they support you and they really like what you said, right? So with him saying that, I'm like, okay, we got to get this merch out. But what I do ask for, right, for those super loyal fans of Nikki and Moose, if you have your favorite sayings or quotes or something from the podcast, please do me a favor. Please do me a favor. Can you DM Nikki and Moose on Instagram? If you're on Facebook, go to Facebook too, right? And please submit that so we can make that into a shirt. Okay? I'm going to listen to y'all first and foremost before we go to some of our favorite things, right? But we want to get what you guys like and in front of a shirt ASAP. So if you have any quotes, any parts that you love, any episode, the first one, 9th one, 32nd one, I don't care, right? Submit that by going to Instagram and DMing Nikki and Moose, right? Or go to Facebook and DM us, or Twitter, whatever your favorite joint is. Do that, because that opened my eyes and I was like, okay, we gotta get the merch out. But I do want to go more on the sayings than necessarily the logo, even though that will be of limited amount when that does come out.
That's dope. Jana says, so we getting an air horn shirt?
Oh, listen. No.
Like,
So shout out to Freed. He made a really dope animation cartoon vibe of myself, the lion, and the air horn. So the air horn is a character. So
that's fire.
I may
NFT
have
vibes.
I may have to work with him as far as getting the air horn on the merch. We may have to do that. If you want to see the air horn as merch, I don't know.
Like that.
Put a 3. Put a number 3.
That's on.
Put a 3. AJ said I got
There's
the
some
design
competition.
mocked up. Okay,
Yeah, I was
okay,
gonna say.
AJ.
Already there.
I see you. Real quick, before I remember that air horns on the, yeah, that was so fire. Look, I didn't want to ignore questions, so if some of y'all still have questions, you still have some time. But Overland asked this question as far as, for the both of you, how have you grown internally as a podcaster, individually, and as a team, Nikki and Moose, in your other businesses? Okay, with the deep question. Okay.
Dang, that's multi-layered right there.
Yes. Go ahead, Moose.
Can you start, Nix? Come on, start it
what?
off. This one's big.
It's deep for no
I need some
reason.
time to think.
It screams
I need some time to
you.
think. I'm like, I need some time to think. Let me.
Okay,
let me
yeah,
get
he
Nix to start
processes.
this.
I get it. Okay, so let me put it up again. How have you grown internally as a podcaster individually? Let me start there. I think more of just accepting that I'm a podcaster, right? So there is some places that I've literally put podcaster. I think on my LinkedIn, it said podcaster. On part of my Instagram, it says podcaster, right? Accepting that one of the main parts about me is a podcaster. A lot of people are not only just knowing me as the brand, but me as the podcaster. I love your podcast. I love you and Moose. It's this, that. So I'm not running from it. So internally, I've now accepted the title of, hey, I'm a podcaster. People from all around the world listen to Nikki and Moose. Why am I going to run away from that when, I don't necessarily like boxing myself in, right? I believe I am a content creator than just a podcaster. But I believe one of my strengths and one of the things that people can relate to is that I am a podcaster and not super over the top anything else, right? Like, oh, you're a podcaster. I could rock with you. I like you. You're good. So internally, I would say that. Now, the second part, as a team of Nikki and Moose in your other businesses, I think it has given me the patience to understand that tech-wise and work ethic-wise, it's okay to have somebody that is the opposite of you. And so when you are working in other teams, you're now respecting and understanding a bit more of how other people move, because here I have the complete opposite of me. So that has helped me from a team-wise in other businesses and other situations when it comes to, deeper than the brand. And then also now, low-key, I'm having like this Team Nikki situation going on, and it's pretty cool. And that's organically happening. But it comes to also understanding like, you have to respect those people that move differently than you, because they're going to show the best side of you, and it's not something that you could do on your own. So I'll say that.
Nice. That's dope. So it was what? How did you grow individually?
How did you grow
together?
Internally as a podcaster, individually, and then as a team?
Oh, got it. I have to still go back to, and I see Will Serve also put it in the chat, just finding your voice. I think that for me was still a part of it, just because I dabbled in so many different parts of the industry or so many different areas prior to jumping on the podcast. And I tried to, as many times as possible, try and fill that role. So there was a season where we were research heavy. So I was trying to be the research analytical guy. And then there was a season when we were flight assessment heavy. So at the end of the day, quite honestly, that's probably the biggest part of me. It's that assessment part. But I was now trying to magnify the assessment part. And then there was a time where we were branding and business heavy, and kind of where we are now, where Nikki holds down the branding, and I'll cover and touch base on how some of these things relate to a business standpoint. And then it's like I had to try and fill that gap. But all in all, what I was trying to get to was, how do I find the similarities in all of them and keep that guy consistent every day without having to try on all of these different hats and just wear what's trending in that season. My concern, at least privately, whenever I thought about, say, posting things online or sharing my content on social media, I had not yet found something that I just felt was going to be me forever. And I was concerned about that. I was like, well, if I start posting today, and I started, say, 7 years ago as the school and dreamer guy, then I transitioned into this guy, and then I'm going to that guy. It's like, okay, how many guys are you going to play before you land on your real you? So I realized that in every season you are going to grow, you're going to mature, you're going to have different passions and things that you're, say a call to serve or fix in that time. But there are some parts of you that are going to be consistent or connected. They're the underlying value in the fun or the foundation of everything you do. And as I got connected with that person, I feel more consistent now, or feel better about just sharing or knowing what I represent or knowing where I want to go and what I want to do. So it gave me clarity in a lot of ways. So it gave me my voice, help me find that sound or what I want to represent, but it also gave me clarity at exactly what I want to do and how I want to do it. And I'm okay with that. It's like I almost went to therapy without seeing a therapist, doing 100 episodes of a podcast. All right, that's the truth, because I keep talking about how for 2 years, or probably more so a year during that pandemic phase, every month I'm getting a little bit more clearer. And I'm like, man, I was really in amnesia. Like I was going through a tough time without really knowing it. And it's because I'm getting better. It's almost like that saying goes, you never knew how hurt you were until you start healing. It's like, oh, damn, I was messed up.
Right.
Oh, I got to go back and apologize to some people. Right. I got to go back and say, yo, my bad. I know I was doing this, and I'm not even trying to say I didn't do it. I'm not trying to neglect it. I just want to apologize because I honestly did it without knowing that I was doing it. And so that's what 100 episodes of the podcast consistently gave me. Now, what I learned business-wise, I learned that one of the most important aspects of business is sales and marketing. That's the biggest thing that I've learned. Is that the most important aspect of business is sales and marketing. You can have a phenomenal product, a phenomenal service. You could be the best at fulfilling whatever promise you put out there. But if you never get to the point of being able to gain attention or attract people to what you're doing, or figure out why some people will need what you have, you can never really succeed as a business person. So I think it's really making me a sharper marketer. And I'm not saying that I'm going to go out there and start saying to everyone, hey, I'm the best marketer in the world. But just as I'm moving in the businesses that I'm a part of, I'm now understanding marketing through the lens of the human eye. And we're connecting with people on a much deeper level. It makes me feel good. I feel that I'm doing it in a way that's genuine and organic, and I'm not faking it. And that part, can be concerning. So yeah, I'm grateful for those, man. Those two things have been really good.
I like that. Now we got a super chat and a question at the same time. So he said, I'm a beta tester for IG, but my app is always glitchy. Today, my Reels is not visible to my followers. What should I do? So here's my recommendation, right? So if you want to stay a beta tester, you're going to experience glitches, period. It's fine. Now, you don't have to post from your app. You can do it from your computer. So the actual Instagram, the Instagram.com allows you to post right through there, or you want to go to Creator Studio and you could post right there, or you can get a third-party app like Later, Buffer, all that great stuff, and you could post from there. So if you are experiencing glitches from your app, then I would suggest that you try to do it from your laptop or your desktop and see if you have the same experiences if you want to stay a beta tester. If you're like, it's not even worth it, then get out of the beta testing, download the regular Instagram app, and you should be okay. So that's what I'll say. And shout out to you because you gave us a super chat. You feel me? But
super chat for the question. That's cool.
Yeah, we are a little bit over time. I apologize for the technical issues, but we're going to make this work. We're going to talk about creating consistent content on a more professional level another day. So prepare for the rerun of this situation, but a little bit better. So Moose, thank you for dealing with the tech issues. Appreciate you.
Oh, thank you.
Listen to the 100 episode. Please and thank you. And actually, before we go, did you like the 30 minutes kind of vibe? Or can we have this honest conversation? Did you like the 30-minute vibes, or did you want the regular, probably hour kind of situation? Let us know. We were sort of testing something, not really, but it is what it is, right? It is, but it allowed us to see how do you feel about the 30-minute stuff. I've been contemplating on adding a smaller clip or so as like another day for those people who don't want to listen to an hour or so on the podcast, but still wanted to get some nuggets. So I kind of wanted to get your take. 30 minutes, leave it to an hour. We like the shorter vibes. Just let me know, right? Hold on. We got Reg. Isaiah says it was different. It's cool. Overland says regular. Okay, these are very descriptive. They're very descriptive people. You're answering my question directly. I appreciate y'all.
To the point. It's like, we're going to tell you the truth. It
was
cool.
interesting. It was cool. It was fine and dandy. Yeah. All right. Anyways, I know my mom was like, it was short, but it was still good. So anyways, more clips are going to come out. Please, this is what I will ask, share the clips. Wherever platform you see it on, share the clips. It's our 100th episode. That's all we ask. We don't ask for gifts. We don't ask for anything. We ask for you to share so we can get more people to see what we are doing. But we're out. We love you guys. Oh, wait, there's more. There's shorter vibes. Okay. All right. Informative as always. I like it. Very busy schedule. And I can tune in. Okay. All right. I see y'all. Right? I like the regular and the short. I want it all. Oh, okay, Eugene. I know who that is. Oh. Shout out to Eugene. Okay. Why we got to choose? Oh, okay. All right. I apologize. We'll figure it out. Right. We'll do some short ones. We'll do some long ones. I get it. All right. Love you guys. Have a good night. You already know what we're going to say.
Peace, y'all.